Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications of our unique video content. And as well as that, if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football news at your fingertips. Lots of people doing it. Thank you so much to so many of you for supporting us all the way through the year. The figures are absolutely fabulous, and we're absolutely delighted with your support and how you are consuming our content. And there's lots more to come, lots of special one-to-ones that I think you'll enjoy. And as ever, we always like to give you a wee quiz question at the top of the programme. So we've got a strange one, this one for you, because it's his 500th appearance, Alan McGregor, this weekend if he takes the goal against Dundee United, but he made his debut coming on as a substitute for Rangers in a match against Forfar. Obviously coming on for Stefan Klos, it was Rickson, Amoruso, somebody else, Newman, and then it was Kanchelskis, Ferguson, Hughes and McCann, and Arveladze played up front with... Now there's two players there that we're asking you, can you come up with them? In his first game for Rangers, now it's his 500th, oh how time has flown, but can you come up with those two players? And Ali, I can tell by the look on your face, you've got your thinking cap on, whereas Ruffy's just got a blank stare as if to say, I'm going to hang on for 55 minutes until he comes up with the answer.
I might get the centre half, I don't know about the striker.
Is that right? Okay, I can't wait for that, Ruffy. By the way, over and above a quiz where we have a wee bit of fun, we also have a competition.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer for your chance to win this signed print of Arsenal and Scotland fullback Kieran Tierney by artist Gio Thompson. You have to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and put your answers in the comments section below to this simple question. What is Kieran Tierney's Arsenal squad number? So don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer and put your answers in the comments section below. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's hard to believe it's Thursday. It's the first time we've had a chance to speak to you, Ali. We're on a high, we're optimistic, everything's fun, it's sunny. It's because Scotland defeated Spain. Are you on a high?
Yeah, I think it was extraordinary. I think it's a fantastic start to a new campaign. I think not just the win itself, but the manner of the win. I think it was a very bold performance. I think it was a confident display. Very assured. I thought it could even have been a third goal. You think John McGinn clipping the bar, Callum McGregor's run in the 95th minute. I thought Scotland were...
Lyndon Dykes,
on the cusp of half time. I don't think it was a 1-0 where you're hanging on backs to the wall, which we would all still accept and be happy with, but I think the performance itself was notable. Yeah,
and I think, to be fair, the only thing that's come out of it in a negative sense is I don't think there's too many people going to be singing Rodri's name who are Scottish football fans. Even if they manage to get a couple of tickets down at City, he will not be a crowd favourite because he just moaned.
Yeah, I didn't agree with anything he was saying, accusing Scotland players of rolling about, wasting time and diving. I thought they were more culpable of that than us, you know. I think right from the very start I thought they were at it. There was a couple of times on the box, you know, and when everybody was sort of jostling for a corner kick, they were throwing themselves on the ground looking for a penalty, and I do have to hold my hands up, and I still think that I had a look at it again. I thought Robertson was very lucky not to get a red card because he did throw an elbow. And but you take your luck while it's going, and you move on.
Yeah, we disagree. I don't think it was a red card. Do you?
No, I didn't think it was a red card either.
No, absolutely. But he had Tam here who thought it was a red card, you know, but he's feeling less secure today because we're ganging up on him.
No, I just thought international football, if you throw an elbow, doesn't matter where you hit, you know, some referees would throw you off for that, particularly at international level.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, as we get ready to talking about international football there, I noticed Ali was aghast when she realised that I had a Kenny Dalglish room. Yeah. Doesn't everybody have a Kenny Dalglish room? Why is Ali looking at me as if I'm a space cadet from another planet?
Well, Ali's obviously never saw every other room that's a Kenny Dalglish room. You never seen the living room, no?
It was just a bedspread that was...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Ruffy, for God's sake, man, if you're either a fan or you're not.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
you're right.
Simple as that. Anyway, Ali's here with us. I'm delighted that Ruffy, Ali and myself are here, and delighted that you've been hitting the subscribe button. If you get a chance, share it with your pals and give us your opinion as well. We'll read out more than a few of them. Thank you very much. Quite a lot of people absolutely delighted that they're going back to domestic football as well on a high, and it's top six against bottom six, Ruffy. It could be one of those interesting weekends where anybody in that bottom six who manages to take something will be delighted.
Yeah, well, everybody will be looking at what Motherwell's done. You know, the 3 wins that they got is just taking the pressure off them. You know, I think they're still in it. They've still got to win games. But, everybody will be looking at that. You know, if you can get back-to-back wins, it takes the pressure off. And again, at the top, you know, it's reversed now. Rangers are at home, Celtic are away. Rangers supporters will be thinking, oh, difficult tie up at Dingwall. This might be a wee opportunity, you know, to cut it to 6, because you're expecting Rangers to beat Dundee United with the form that they're in. So it's up to Celtic now to produce the goods, which they have been doing all season. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Yeah, here's the fixtures for you to look forward to over the weekend. Saturday and Sunday. One of them is, of course, on this Saturday, Hibs against Motherwell, Kilmarnock, Hearts, Rangers, Dundee United, as Ruffy mentioned there, St Johnstone, Aberdeen, St Mirren, Livingston and Ross County against Celtic. It's only real proper journalists that make the journey up to Dingwall on a Sunday. I just thought I'd tell you that, Ali.
Yes,
how many times have you been up north this year?
This season, I don't think I've been up this season.
Yeah, so not really committed to the game, are you? You're just choosing the Central Belt. Is that what you're telling me?
I remember having to go to Dingwall one Easter Sunday, so I think I've done my time north.
Yeah, exactly. Rangers against Dundee United, of course. It's the first one back for Rangers and against, as you said, a Dundee United side who haven't recorded a single win in their last 6 domestic outings. I think they're really up against it. Jim Goodwin really has a tough job to try and get them away from that bottom end of the table. They're 2 points behind Ross County, and they've got the second worst goal difference in the league. But after that Scotland game, I think Jim Goodwin reckons his United players are going to have to take a little bit of inspiration from Steve Clarke's men.
I thought Scotland were so well organised, so disciplined, worked extremely hard without the ball, and still offered an attacking threat when they had it. You know, they counter-attacked on Spain on numerous occasions, pressed them high up the pitch at the right times, then fell back into their deep shape at the right times, and you know, I thought they were excellent. So something along those lines would be perfect for us, but that's a hell of a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, it involves a lot of late signings from the Scotland team for Dundee United to transfer them, because I haven't seen anything that suggests to me, Ali, that they are going to just suddenly hit a spark and a run. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think it's very difficult to find that spark when confidence is low, when results have been going against you for the bulk of the season. I think it's very difficult to arrest that just on a whim, just to whether it's a new manager coming in or not. I think it can be very difficult just to try and solve those problems. It's a challenge that faces Jim Goodwin. It's a challenge that lies ahead for Dundee United between now and the end of the season. But I think I would have to say, on a personal level, I think they'll struggle between now and the end of the campaign.
Yeah, no wins in 9, Ruffy. 2 draws in their last 2 games.
The 2 draws are something that I'll hang on to. It's not going to help them going to Ibrox, you know, because this is a tie they won't want to have. They know how good the Rangers are at home. It will be, as he was saying there, Scotland were very, very well organised defensively. They'll have to be like that, because it's going to be one-way traffic for me. I just can't see, you know, Dundee United doing anything. So I think the most important thing for Dundee United is coming out of there with some kind of respectability, whether it's 1-0, 2-0. If they come out of there with 5 or 6, it's not going to help their fight against the other teams that are going to be playing. Yeah, and of course Rangers, Ali, off the back of this, they're coming out of the international break with 4 wins out of 4. The only disappointment in the blip that they've had has been the match against Celtic.
Yeah, I think they're still unbeaten in the Premiership under Michael Beale. I think they'll be looking forward to getting back into it. They know themselves. It's a case just of asking questions of Celtic and seeing where it takes them. I think realistically, you know, we would all expect Celtic to ease their way to the title, but between now and the end of the season, or between now and Michael Beale coming in for Rangers, it was all about setting foundations.
Yeah.
Between now and the end of the season, ahead of a new campaign.
Although you said you can't see it, I mean, you said you can't see Celtic slipping up. Can you imagine, with 9 games to go, if Rangers were to reduce it to 6? I mean,
it makes it nervous.
It really would actually throw the cat on the pigeons.
The minute that there's any
wouldn't it?
nerves, it becomes a very difficult, a very different proposition. We saw it before. We've seen it historically in a couple of seasons. But I don't think there's no evidence to suggest that that's likely to happen. But I think Rangers will want some momentum. I think they've got that pretty huge semi-final against Celtic next month to look to. I think they want to be getting into that in a really rich vein of form and trying to stop Celtic going on to achieve what may be a domestic treble this season.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to the end of this month, Ruffy, Rangers' season will be completely and utterly defined by the time we get to the 30th of April, because it's Dundee United, then of course they're away to Celtic on the 8th of April, then it's St Mirren at home, away to Aberdeen at Pittodrie, and then they're at home to Celtic in that, well, I say at home, they're at Hampden for the semi-final against Celtic.
No, I'd forget all about the other games and just concentrate on the Celtic game at Parkhead. That's the one that I think is going to end everything. No, I'm not going to say end everything. There's always got a chance in the semi-final, cup, but it'll end the league if Celtic were to win that. You know, although we're talking about it getting cut to 6 points, which would be exciting. You know, if it went the other way to 15, you know, it's never going to happen. You know, so I think it's up to Rangers. We've seen a lot of ex-players for Rangers. Everybody's throwing their tuppence worth in. You know, you've got to win that game. You've got to keep the momentum going. Then you've got, and the other thing that's coming in is you need to win a cup. Everybody's saying Rangers have got to win a cup.
Yeah.
You know, so that's added pressure as well. So I think if you ask the Rangers players, they'd be happy that they've got these big games coming up.
I know people say Rangers have got to win a cup. I think because Michael Beale has inherited a squad, I think it will be a huge disappointment. And again, having lost the game in the League Cup, I think a lot of people were saying, "Oh, okay, we're not happy about it." A lot of people say if they lose this one, there's even going to be more anger. But I think most of that anger has been directed towards the board. I think Michael Beale, if Michael Beale loses the game at Celtic Park, which I expect Celtic to win it with home advantage, if he loses the cup semi-final as well, Alison, yes, there will be angry Rangers fans. Yes, they'll be analysing the performance, but they'll be looking at it and say, well, wait a minute, get to the summer. Let's see what the board do. Let's see if they back him. He can build his own team. I think he will be cut that slack, because there's no way, you know, on the evidence of what he's done, that you can absolutely hammer him. He's steadied the ship.
Yeah, I would agree with all those points. However, I think that semi-final's huge for Rangers. I think it's important psychologically that they go toe-to-toe with Celtic and hold their own. I think there was criticism when they lost the League Cup game at Hampden to Celtic, just in terms of tactics, in terms of personnel choices, in terms of how he played and the way he played. I think there was a lot of criticism about that. You look back to that game at Ibrox around the festive period, just at the turn of the year, Rangers should have won that one. I think they were the better team, probably. But I think it's important that you go out and show that maybe the gap isn't as significant as what people have said, and I think that can be crucial for Rangers for a number of reasons. I would agree with you. I think Michael Beale's done very little wrong since coming in. I think he's shown that. I think there's an identity about the team, about how they want to play. I don't think it's been particularly fluent. I think there are still aspects that he would want to improve on. I think clearly he needs to get to the summer and have a fairly significant clear out. There's a lot of players there that need to go and then bring some fresh legs and new blood.
But the other thing is, you're talking about everybody talking about the gap. The gap could be even bigger by the time the summer comes. This is an Ange Postecoglou side, and a club that's got a lot of money in the bank. This is an Ange Postecoglou side that is just evolving. It's getting stronger. He'll offload some in the summer, and then Michael Beale has to. That's why I think it's such a huge job in the summer for him. Yes, I understand the importance of trying to win a bit of silverware, but it doesn't for me alter everybody talking about, oh, they've closed the gap, they haven't closed it, whatever. It's a waste of time, because as you know, Ange Postecoglou could sign another 3 or 4 quality players in the summer, offload some of the deadwood, and he has a title-winning side that's getting stronger. Rangers have got a huge job to do in the summer to even, at that point for me, hope that Ross Wilson and the recruitment team somehow manage to get 5 or 6 starters to go with what he's left with.
I think the job that's ahead of him this summer is huge. I think it's a proper rebuild. I think when you look at the number of players who are out of contract and the number of players that he needs to come in to elevate the standard, and I think what you see at Celtic is that you have a depth there in terms of players dropping in and out, that you can sustain a certain standard. I don't know if Rangers quite have the same depth when they miss key players, that it doesn't dip a little bit, or you go into the last 20 minutes of games, half an hour of games, and you can bring on like for like. You're exchanging players who have the same quality coming into the team. You saw it repeatedly this season and last, where Celtic score late goals that change the course of a game, or they flip a game by the substitutions that they make. I think there's no doubt that Celtic are very firmly in the driving seat when it comes to that. I think they are head and shoulders above anyone else in the league. I think gaps can be deceptive. I think sometimes you see a big gap at the end of a season and you think, as you did the summer that Ange Postecoglou came in, Martin O'Neill's season when he came in, you look at a gap and you think, oh, it takes years to bridge that. I don't think it necessarily does. I think sometimes it can be crossed quite swiftly, as we have seen.
Yeah.
But all of that depends hugely on your recruitment and the success of the players that you bring in.
Yep, absolutely. And all the discussion over who's going, who's staying, just rumbles on week after week on this one. It'll go right down to the wire as soon as that last game is played, before you know Kent, Morelos and a few others, and then of course the recruitment programme. We're going to hear from Michael Beale tomorrow, and you can hear it on our programme and of course across all our social media as the Rangers manager looks ahead to that home match against Dundee United. What's your thoughts on those 2 big games, and of course the month of April, which really will determine any kind of success that Rangers have? Give us your thoughts on the strengths, the weaknesses. Can they get back-to-back wins against Celtic, one at Celtic Park and the other one at Hampden? We'd love to hear from you. As far as the Sunday game, it is of course Ross County against Celtic. The amount of people who live up in Dingwall have said to me, I'm really looking forward to you coming up. I would have taken you out for a coffee, but unfortunately I'm away that weekend, is alarming, Ruffy. It's almost as if they're thinking, we'll try and be nice to him, but really don't like him, we're not going to buy him a coffee. Is that fair? Am I getting the vibe?
Yeah, I haven't seen what's been getting thrown up there, but there obviously is one person would be looking after you, that's the Staggy.
Yeah, Jan's away.
Jan.
She's away. And Mark, who lives up there, says, I was going to take you for a coffee, but I'm away.
Well, it says it all, doesn't it?
It does. Says a lot about my personality. Yeah, absolutely. But Malky Mackay, he has mentioned this morning, they've got to go and play against Celtic players and not worry about the whole stature of where Celtic are. They've got to try and take them out in a one-off game. Concentration massive is what Malky mentioned this morning. And he doesn't think his side look as if they're going down, but they've only managed to win 1 out of the last 6 domestically. And again, of the 3 teams at that bottom end, it's so difficult to choose. My gut feeling is I think Malky will get away by the skin of his teeth. He won't win anything this weekend.
No, he won't, but Celtic sometimes go up there and they get a win eventually, but Ross County can make it very difficult for you if they get about you, and that's what they'll have to do against Celtic. They'll have to get about the important players that turn the game. I think, as we would all agree, eventually, even though it was really, a tussle, that Celtic's good players would come through at the end of the day. But I think Ross County's definitive will be in the split. I think Malky will think he's got a firepower that's good enough to score at the bottom 6, maybe no the top 6, but I think that's where he'll be confident. And again, we keep talking about this split, this 3 games at home, 2 away. I think when you get to that, the 3 games at home are going to be so crucial at top and bottom. I'm
looking at him here, he's got Celtic, and then he's got St Johnstone, then Aberdeen, then Hearts, before it gets to that cutthroat 5 games that Ruffy's talking about.
Yeah, and I think sometimes there can be a real desire on the part of managers who know they're going into that kind of scenario to have a bit of momentum behind them going into it, to have a bit of form going into it, so that you're not so desperate. There's not that real fear around the side. I think once the split takes place and you're still languishing at the bottom, I think it becomes a challenge. It's as much mental as it is about anything else.
Yeah, I'm looking at that bottom three, and you know, it's United on 22 points, County on 24, and Kilmarnock on 25. If I was picking the bottom two, I'm going to go Dundee United and Kilmarnock, and I'm sticking with it. I just can't work out which one either way, with Ross County 10th by the skin of their teeth. What about you, Ali?
I think I might switch Kilmarnock and Ross County.
Yeah.
Kilmarnock's home form can be decent. Their home form might get them out of it.
Okay, Ruffy?
No, I think the two up front for Ross County have got more firepower than what Kilmarnock's got. You know, we've seen Kilmarnock scoring goals and winning 1-0 and trying to hang on to the end, and unfortunately somebody will come up with a screamer with 2 minutes to go, or they'll lose a goal. So I think Ross County, the Brophy, could be the one that could save them.
Yeah, okay. As well as that game on the Sunday, which of course I'll bring you pre-match, half-time and full-time on our social media. Hopefully you can follow us for that. Don't forget, Tam McManus and myself are in the studio on Saturday at 4 o'clock till 6 with the half-time and full-time reports from the games taking place in the Scottish Premiership. We'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening elsewhere. All our reporters are out at those games with reports for you, and we'll get reaction from the managers and players as well. That's Saturday, 4 till 6. Of course, Kerry has the morning preview with Ruffy and Tam to look forward to, which returns this Saturday as well. There's lots of content. Hit the subscribe button and you'll never miss any of the action. And if you've got that PLZ Soccer app, then you will have everything at your fingertips, including all the breaking football news from across the UK, Europe, and of course global stories to boot. It's Hibs against Motherwell. Stuart Kettlewell admits this morning that Fashion Sakala was onside for the goal after he was given an explanation by Crawford Allen. And it's basically, if the lines are touching and the attacker is ahead, then the advantage goes to the attacker. And that's us a full, 10 days, 2 weeks after the event?
Yeah, as you know, I was out with Willie Young at the weekend, and he reiterated that exact thing there, and we spoke about it in the show. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know the rules. I include myself in that as well. I never knew that was the rule. So there are rules out there that we're not privy to, but it'd be really good if somebody came out and explained that on the day, rather than, as you say, 7 or 8 days later on, you know, because an explanation needs to be done, because the referees and the boy up in the skybox are getting absolute pelters, so they need to clear the air if there's anything like that happens. I said to Willie that night to try and explain to me the handball for Considine, and he honestly said, look, there are no explanation for it, but the two people in charge will suffer accordingly.
Yeah, and if I can just mention here, as well as having the rule explained to them on the Monday, which is never easy because we're always asking them the questions after the match, Ali, I think a lot of fans, especially people viewing the programme and who go to football on a regular basis, are saying, well, that's fine, you've explained it, just make sure you make the same decision next week if it's Motherwell that are involved in it. And that's what Kettlewell's saying.
I think the lack of consistency with VAR is what's truly irked managers and players and clubs. I think every club so far has a grievance about it. Everyone's, some of which have been particularly justifiable. But I think if you now know what the legislation is, and you want to see it applied on a consistent basis.
Motherwell have got Hibs away in Easter Road, they've got Livingston at home, Dundee United at home, they've got Celtic away. Of those 4 games, have they got enough in the tank with that 5-point cushion, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think one of these home games that a win and maybe a draw, and the other one maybe not against the bigger sides, but I think 4 points could take them out of the pressure pot when the split comes. Yeah,
and of course for Hibernian, well, as ever, it is Thursday. We sent Kerry out there to Trinent to find out what was happening in the Hibs camp.
Ahead of Hibernian's home tie with Motherwell this weekend, Lee Johnson spoke to the media as the countdown to the split continues. Not a big gap at all separating Hibs, Hearts and Aberdeen, but one gap that this boss can't get his head around is the gap between the top 2 and everyone else.
You know, I'm fascinated with this closing the gap on the old firm. It really is something that I want to get my teeth into. It shocked me in terms of the gap so far and how big it is. Looking back to that first Rangers game where we got a draw, I was quite disappointed, if I'm honest, on the day with that draw. And now I realise, looking back, what a good result it was. So, we've got to find a way, both the back end of this season, particularly if obviously we get in the top half of the split, and next season of producing more points from those games.
From an outsider's perspective, you would say that this Leith side are certainly nipping at the heels of Aberdeen and Hearts, but despite the points tally, says Lee Johnson, his side are certainly moving in the direction he wants to go.
The eyes are on the prize, if you like, and that is the prize. So, we want to make the first way to do that is obviously secure top 6. And then once you've secured that, then you go and fight for a European place. We don't know officially yet whether it would be places 3 and 4 or 3, 4, 5 that will give us that, but it's certainly something that we're planning for, because you'd expect us to be diligent and plan for every eventuality.
Will Hibernian continue to increase the pressure of those around them, or will Motherwell continue their current form under Stuart Kettlewell? Kick-off is at Easter Road this Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Hibs with Motherwell, Dundee United, Hearts and St Johnstone.
Just interesting there, what needs to happen for it to get into 5?
What do you mean?
Well, he's saying it could be 3rd, 4th or 5th.
Well, if Celtic or Rangers win the Scottish Cup.
Well, that's the scenario.
Yeah, the runners-up don't go into it. It drops down into it, and I think that's what a lot of the teams are hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the extra place.
Yeah. Which
that's quite good, 5 places in Europe.
Well, it'd be great if it, no, what's quite good is Hibs, Hearts and Aberdeen qualifying for the group stage of it. That then
because really there's an argument to say it can hinder your long-term European prospects, because obviously it affects the coefficient. If you have 5 teams that go in, then all the points that you get, coefficient points that you get from the participation is divided by 5. So you need teams to go in and do well in it. You want them to go. When you go in and you have teams that go out at the first hurdle, it adversely affects the coefficient. It really sets it back.
I want a team in there in the Europa League. It'd be great if you had a couple in the conference, but I'd love one of them to get into the Europa League group stage.
If you think back, I can't remember, was it season 2003, 2002? 2003, and you had Celtic and Rangers in the Champions League. You had Aberdeen in the group stages of it wasn't the Europa League then, but it was the group stages of the UEFA Cup almost. You had 3 Scottish teams, all went deep into that campaign right up until Christmas. I think you would love to see something like that, but I think it's crucial that if you have teams in European competition, that they go in not just to enjoy it and have a holiday and go in for one, but you want to see them actually go and do something.
Do you think it has any effect, Ruffy, on the players when they look and they see such a good performance from Scotland taking the scalp of Spain? Does it rub off, or is it just a case of, listen, it can rub off for a night, but you've still got the players you've got at your disposal?
No, I don't think it'll affect the players in any way. I think it could affect the managers of the teams, to explain to them how Scotland got that result. And I think we saw Jim Goodwin there, and he analysed the game by good pressing, good tactics, all working for each other. I think that's the thing they'll be saying. They'll probably bring it up at the pre-match talk, like, this is what you can do if you all work together, you all fight together, and you have a discipline in everything that you do. This is the kind of thing that can happen. So I think the players will be affected by it, but I think the managers will be in their talk to the players.
Yeah, I think it's a big season. Everybody's talking about how it's a big season for Michael Beale. I think it's a big season in the summer for the likes of Aberdeen and Hibs and Hearts to see exactly where they're going with the recruitment process, and whether they're going to try and increase the quality again, because a lot of people on here get absolutely hacked off with us, Ruffy, or maybe just get hacked off with me at times when I say the standard of our league is not great. We want it to be good. We're not going to sit on this programme and start being unbelievably positive just for a PR spin. No. You have to look at the standard and say, Scotland, great result. We'll get great coefficient from Scotland if they qualify. Then you're saying to yourself, the other clubs need to contribute, and they haven't, and the evidence is there in the stats and their qualification in the last few years.
No, I think at the beginning of the season they've got to get more organised. I think at the beginning of this season, the 3 teams we're talking about, Hibs, Hearts and Aberdeen, had horrendous starts. None of them started with any significance till after maybe 8 or 9 games. They were all left behind. So that's all about getting things organised in the close season, getting rid of the players you don't don't want, bringing in the players that you want, and then you start the season, and if you're fortunate enough, you're going to be playing European football. You know, in the European football, you should be getting into it organised and ready to go, and commit to it, ready to start the league campaign.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think the gap between Celtic and Rangers just now is as wide as I can remember between them and everyone else. I think the quality has been poor. I think that's shown by teams that have had dreadful runs of form. I'm thinking about Aberdeen at points this season, Hearts too, but are still up and challenging in the top half of the season. I think it just shows you how inconsistent everyone has been out with Celtic and Rangers. I think there is a criticism about the standard and the lack of quality, and the way to address it is to bring in players that can elevate that, but it doesn't come cheaply. The bottom line is that you have to be wise with your recruitment. You have to maybe look at areas and avenues that you haven't been in before, and maybe just make sure that you're getting value for your money.
Yeah, okay. If you get a chance, we've got David Martindale, My Story, the Livingston manager, one of our mini documentaries, an opportunity for you to enjoy lots of other content that we have on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, but this one especially is just come out, and quite a lot of people are responding very positively to it as well. Hopefully you can enjoy it by sitting down for half an hour and getting an insight into what it takes to be a Premiership manager.
There was a lot of negative publicity when Kenny left. It was all about David Martindale, the convicted criminal, David Martindale this, David Martindale that, David Martindale runs Livingston Football Club, all this. It was horrendous. Well done, well done. That wee pattern, we're sucking the wing back in, we're pulling the wing back in, we're getting the ball played with a vertical pass. I think the shelf life of a manager now, I think it's becoming idiotic, if I'm honest. I think the way football's going at some clubs, it's becoming a little bit embarrassing. You've got to have that discipline in your life. You've got to be willing to come into your work every day and work extremely hard. Every day is a day to get better. It's all the old cliches, but they're so true in football.
Thank you to so many people who have enjoyed watching it. Just over half an hour. My Story, David Martindale, Livingston manager. It's been well received, Ruffy. And again, from our point of view, Livingston and David's access all areas. Just looking at it for the whole week was great.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm hoping. I'm sure there is. It's not just the Livingston supporters have enjoyed it. I'm sure every set of supporters would love it. You know, in fact, a lot of them would love to do what we've done. You know, go into their dressing room, whether it was Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts. So it'd be great for them, you know, to see what happens in the day-to-day of a manager, you know, because it's not just the getting in at 9 in the morning and leaving at 3 o'clock. It's a full shift, you know, right into whenever you leave the stadium.
Yeah, and it's St Mirren against Livingston this weekend, and I think a lot of people are billing it as a six-pointer. I hate to say it is a six-pointer because I remember that interview from the late 70s when Kenny Dalglish said, why have they changed the points in a dry sort of manner. So is it a six-pointer? Who knows? It's crucial for finishing in the top six, and we sent our reporter Kerry out there to find out what was happening.
Here at Livingston this morning, James Penrith labelled this weekend's game against St Mirren as a battle for a place in the top six, and David Martindale believes that the prospect certainly adds to the excitement of this weekend's tie.
Definitely at this point, of probably ourselves, St Mirren and St Johnstone, I don't mean this disrespectful to anyone else, you've just missed that relegation points goal, so if 3 years should be safe. And if you never had that split, there's not a lot to play for at this point in time, whereas there's at least 4 years, potentially 5 years, all trying to get into the top six, so it brings that a bit of adding spice to these games, especially when you're playing opponents in their injury area in the league.
With key players like Jack Fitzwater and Nicky Devlin on their way out of the club, the manager says he's already started looking for their replacements.
We've got 5 or 6 positions that I'm recruiting for just now. There's probably six players identifying for every position, so you work your way back through it. and it's just a wee bit depressing sometimes when you get to play number 6 and you still can't afford them.
Just 3 games remain after this weekend, and Livingston will be hoping to avoid the heartbreak of missing out in the top 6 like last season. And the only way to do that is pick up 3 points this weekend in Paisley. Kick-off is at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll keep you right up to date with what's happening on our results show as well on Saturday, 4 o'clock till 6 on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm looking here, Ruffy, they're on 39 points in 6th position, just a point behind Hibs, 2 points behind Aberdeen, and it's not too far up till you get to Hearts as well. Strange little twists along the way. If anything, he's going to try and extract as much as he possibly can out of these players before some of them obviously leave.
Yeah, he'll be gutted if it happens again to him this year, just missing it, you know, and he touched on it briefly there. He's already looking at players. That means money, that means a budget. And I think getting into the top 6 would just cover that budget for him. You know, obviously the games in the last 5 games would be really, really important for him financially. You could be talking about maybe £200,000-300,000, you know, coming against the 2 big ones, and Hibs and Hearts. So that could be 3 or 4 players, you know, that he thinks he can afford. All of a sudden he can.
Yeah, it's a difficult job for him to try and rebuild in the summer as well, when you consider the budget, consider the quality that he's losing. Again, more than a few clubs hovering about. I think Nicky Devlin will be a huge asset. Hearts, Aberdeen possibly, but they're all sniffing now, just making tentative inquiries to try and maybe look and say, right, if we can get him in at the start of the summer, that's one in the camp, and he's free to deal with him. He's not going to cost him anything.
Yeah, I think without doubt, I think he would be a good acquisition for a number of teams. I think the challenge at Livingston is recycling all the time. It's, you know, you build a team, you know that if it's successful it's going to be picked off, and it's about trying to source replacements while sustaining a level. I think they punch above their weight, Livingston. I think when you look at the budgets throughout the league, I think what they do and what they have done across recent seasons is nothing short of sensational, to be honest.
Good players as well. I mean, Devlin's one of them. Nubley for me is somebody that I think a number of clubs might actually say, well, we take a wee punt and see if we can get him out of his final year.
He's a handful. He's a real handful for a defender. Every time you see him, you think that. And it's not just the physicality that he has. He also, you know, he's got more to his game than just that. He's a decent striker, a good brain too.
Yeah. April and May, do you like the split? Do you like it, what it does?
Yeah, I think it gives life to certain games that might not have much at stake. I think it's not without its flaws. I think sometimes you can have an odd situation, maybe between 6th and 7th, where the team in 7th ends up with more points than the team in 6th. I think, but by and large, I would have to say, I think it creates an excitement or an interest in games that might otherwise be fairly flat.
If you're looking for spin on it, and I'll get both your thoughts on this, if you're looking for spin on it, then the SPFL will say, look, the bottom end is alive, the middle's alive, the top end, okay, it's not as alive as everybody would like it to be, but there's still a battle for European spots, so that's alive as well. And that really is what happens at every April and May since this was introduced. They're going, well, it's a competitive league. Whereas my attitude to it is, yeah, by all means it can still be competitive, but you should have more clubs in it, because this constant year in, year out of 6 or 7 or 8 clubs all trying to avoid relegation makes it really, really cutthroat. And by the way, not only cutthroat, but more and more managers are getting booted out the door.
Yeah, I think there's a definite argument for more teams in the league. If you were asking me that question, I would probably agree with it. But on the whole, I do think the split adds something that's not always there, or wasn't always there prior to it.
Ruffy?
I think it's exciting. I think it's going to be more exciting this year, particularly at the bottom, because there's nobody at the bottom of the league tailed off. There's usually somebody 7 or 8 points adrift, so you're going, right, you know, yous are going, but we don't know who the other team's going to be in the playoffs. And I'm sure a lot of the championship players will fancy whoever's in that second bottom place, because they're not showing any form whatsoever, and you would think somebody for the championship might just hit form at the right time and take them on. So I think this year more than any, it could be 2 premiership teams going down rather than just 1.
You think they're good?
Well, I think if they don't get their act together and they don't start winning games, then they're getting into a game against a championship side who'll be on a good run, and they possibly haven't won a game in 8 or 9 as we've seen this year.
Yeah.
So confidence could be low.
Do you think then, are you suggesting that they're at the weakest they've been for more than a few years?
We've seen that because we're talking about the difference in the points.
Okay, which club do you think, if they were going to have to face someone that could cause
let's
them?
give me the scenario. Like I'm not saying it's a definite. Let's say if Queen's Park go up and Dundee are the second team, I think Dundee would fancy their chances against Kilmarnock or Dundee United.
Ali, do you share that view?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's always, when you have a team who's in the ascendancy, who have had a strong season, there's an element of confidence about them. You have the converse of that for teams that have been fighting for their lives and things have been going against them. When you're short and low in belief and in confidence, I think sometimes you can be ripe to go and lose a game like that.
Yeah, I think Queen's Park and Dundee are probably the two best options. I can't see Ayr United, Thistle or Morton causing any great problem.
I can.
Yeah?
I really can.
So
the fixtures.
You, Ruffy.
I really can, because you're talking about, I think it's 6 games. If any one of the ones were to win 5 out of 6, because they'll all be taking points off each other.
Yeah.
So if you're one of the teams who win the next 5 out of your 6 games, doesn't matter where you are in that top 5, you'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, it's always stacked in favour of the Premiership side anyway, Ali.
Well, 3rd and 4th is never, whoever finished 3rd or 4th has never got promoted.
Yeah.
In the Championship.
Yeah, so it's stacked, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're kind of I think the best bet is Dundee.
Yeah, I would say.
And I think Dundee are going to pip Queen's Park to the title.
On the evidence of last Friday night, I watched Queen's Park last Friday night and I wasn't hugely impressed by them. I think it might be Dundee's.
Interesting. Dave Cormack says that Aberdeen's best chance of securing European football this season is with Barry Robson at the helm. Haven't had your thoughts on it yet. Robson, manager till the end of the season. Lot to prove. Is it the right call?
I thought it was quite an odd call. Not odd in the sense that he got the post, because I think he's done well. I think he's obviously made a fairly telling statement since he's come in. I think results have been good. I think there's been an upturn, but I think only until the end of the season maybe I would possibly have questioned. I think if you believe that he's the right guy for the job, then give him it. It's almost as if it's a prolonged audition for the role, or yes, maybe almost waiting to see if anyone else becomes available.
Well, yeah. The only strange thing about it is I mean, I'm not going to beat about the bush here. I don't think he was the ideal choice because he's inexperienced. Aberdeen need a vision and need to change the mindset that's gone on for the last more than a few years. The Aberdeen fans were not happy with Derek McInnes, the way they were playing. Certainly they should have achieved a lot more. Then in comes Stephen Glass, inexperienced for this division, didn't work out. Jim Goodwin comes in. I thought he would have done well, didn't. And now you're going to give it to someone equally inexperienced. It doesn't add up for me. I mean, and this business is the only business I know where somebody can string 3 results together and suddenly they're equipped and fit to become a manager of a huge club that wants to do really well, Ruffy. I still don't think Barry Robson is ready for an Aberdeen. I hope he proves me wrong, because he's a lad that I've got a lot of time for, but it's a strange business, this.
I agree with Alison. If they thought he was the right man, they would have given him that. I think there's still a wee bit of doubt there. Maybe there's a doubt. How many did you say others get interviewed? 2? 1?
There's another 2 after him.
Another 2? Well, we don't know who the 2 are, but obviously they never come up to this, what they thought would be the new manager. So he's on a winning run. Why would you change that? You wouldn't. The fans are quite happy, so you give it to the end of the season. But I thought if they definitely 100% thought that he was the man, they would have given him it. Because I think that, as you've touched on it there, I think the 2 previous managers have maybe had a bit of doubt there. They've given it to a young guy who's got no experience whatsoever as a manager, and that's the doubt that they have. So for me, it's all about who the candidates were now and who the candidates might be at the end of the season, and then they'll reflect on whatever's happening.
And he's got a right good chance to have a go at Hearts. I mean, Robbie Nielsen's just mentioned to people, calm your jets, let's keep things in perspective here. Okay, we've had a bad run, but we're still ahead of Aberdeen. But I look at Aberdeen's games, they've got St Johnstone, winnable, Kilmarnock, definitely winnable, then Ross County. That could be 9 points before they have the home game against Rangers on the 23rd of April. So you've got 4 games there even before the split that could really, cement their position. But then you're getting to a point where if he gets what should be an expected 9 out of 12, people would be looking and saying, you've got to give him it, But
absolutely, and he'll know that more than anyone else. But yeah, I think if there was a confidence in Robson, I think they would have given him the job on a permanent basis. Yeah,
I wonder the 2 other candidates, whether they're just sitting there with any kind of promise on this one. It'll be interesting.
It does make you think, is it a question of availability for someone?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we shall wait and see. What do you think? Robson for the manager's job on a permanent basis, Aberdeen, can they get 9 out of 12? Can they get all 12 from the 4 games they've got before the split? Who's going to finish in that 3rd position? Who's the 3rd force? Give us your thoughts on that as well. And let's not forget, over the weekend, we'll have Kerry with Ruffy and Tam for the preview. 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, it comes out on our YouTube channel. Over and above that, Ali will be one of a number of our reporters out at the games, giving us half-time, full-time and managers and players reaction to the 5 games on the Saturday. We start at 4, Tam and myself here in the studio, and you can join us for 2 hours, a wee bit of banter here and there, competition, quiz question, lots of things happening across all the other divisions as well. We'll keep you right up to date with. You enjoyed it, Ruffy, when you were in there?
I thought it was great. I think the pleasing bit was going to the stadiums again, getting the uphand, notice of what's happening at the games. It's really, really good going round.
Absolutely. It was good, the 2 of us just bantering away as well.
Yeah, it was good, and the figures just went mental.
Yeah, because obviously Tam wasn't here. he's just you're a numpty, you really are. I read something this morning which I think just is absolutely crazy, and it just tells you the difference in how we would love when this SPFL marketing team start for the whole umbrella. I really hope we can start to really push out a positive message that will bring in more sponsors, more than just a cinch, because if we can get more sponsors in, there's more money for the game, starts to drip down, and hopefully we get better quality Hibs, Aberdeen and Hearts and everybody else. But when I looked at L'Équipe and their insight into the money that was being paid to the Premier League players, the top 5 was absolutely frightening as far as looking at who's earning what in the English Premier League. The top 5 earners, I wonder, Ali, if you can come up with 5 of them who've obviously been earning an absolute fortune. Who you think is in that top 5?
Harry Kane.
No, he's not in the top 5, amazingly. That's an interesting insight from you. Not in the top 5.
Haaland.
Haaland has got to be in there. Of course, Haaland would be the out-and-out.
De Bruyne,
good shout, Ruffy.
Salah.
Mo Salah is the other one, yeah. The other one, Ruffy, which I was amazed at, was Jadon Sancho, £373,750 a week. I mean,
is he happy?
I know. I'll tell you one thing. Not only is he happy, but when you consider what he's produced for Man United, which is not very good, that is some wage, isn't it, Ali? And he's on the same money as Mo Salah, and Mo Salah is,
a bit more bang for your buck.
I'm just about to say to you,
those are eye-watering amounts.
Yeah,
it's obscene.
So
it is obscene.
Haaland is on 402,000 a week, and Kevin De Bruyne is the top man on £425,000 a week, which is incredible money, isn't it? Imagine getting paid £425,000 a week.
It's disgusting, actually, when you think about it. It's obscene. It is obscene, and
it's business economics, isn't it? Supply and demand.
It's business economics for now, but for how long can you sustain that? How long can you sustain it?
Well, I would suggest to you that the English Premier League, although some of it is built on a very, very precarious foundation of, Saudi Arabian millionaires and state clubs owned by states is a very precarious situation, because you know what way the world develops: politics, wars, you name it, destabilising, and then all of a sudden you're in a club that suddenly is banned from owning an English Premier League club. Then you're in big trouble. And of course, Manchester United faced that similar takeover. We don't have that particular problem at the moment, but they will say it's sustainable, but there will always be casualties.
The problem is it inflates salaries for everyone and everywhere. So what you've seen now with salaries like that across the last decade, where you go back 20 years even, so if you think of when Martin O'Neill went into Celtic and who he was able to recruit, the Neil Lennons, John Hartsons, Chris Suttons, you think about where they were economically now as an equivalent. Those kind of players would be so out of reach of Celtic and Rangers now, so wildly out of reach, to the point now where I would argue that you would struggle to compete with championship level salaries, because it inflates salary levels for everyone throughout the game.
I would imagine Scott Brown would have been the highest earner at Celtic over the piece, but nobody, not even in that era where Celtic won 9 in a row, I don't think anybody would have been on the wages that Henrik Larsson would have been on. Nowhere near it now, Ruffy.
No. I think Roy Keane would have been in a hefty when he came up. I think he'd have been on a reasonable wage with Celtic.
Not as big as you would think, Ruffy. No.
But I don't know. I'm not privy to what the...
Nowhere near the money he was on at Man United. And the fifth guy in that top 5, Ruffy, is a goalkeeper, David De Gea. £402,000.
I wonder, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
It was
400,000.
Did he push out for the extra 2,000?
Well, who cares? Who cares if he pushed out for it? It's absolutely. Andrew Breslin said, "Is it taxable?" I don't think they care. I don't think they care. At that type of money, you're paying 40-50% anyway. That's a stonewall certainty, but it's still incredible money for these players.
It's my 40 quid into significance.
Yeah.
League Cup final.
Is that what you were on, Ruffy? £40? You were on £40?
40 quid, yeah.
Was that your bonus or was that your salary?
No, it was my salary. I was 19, 40 quid.
And with that, what did you get a bonus?
Bonus was, I think it was 300.
For the one game?
Yeah, for the final.
So, well, that was a huge amount of money. What kind of...
400,000.
No, I mean, it was 300. 300 quid was a huge bonus in 1971. What kind of car were you driving then, Ruffy?
My first car was a TR7.
Was it? I thought he says it was a Sunbeam or something like that.
Oh, a Sunbeam Rapier. Yeah, that was when I was passing my test. Yeah.
Right, but it was a TR7. TR7.
One of the convertible.
1971.
No, it was a Fiat 1.7.
A Fiat 1.7. Right, okay. You can't even get the car right.
But my typical one, my best one, was the Ford Fiesta with the L plates, with the 2 Miss Worlds in it. You can't beat that.
That is a story. Did you put that in your first autobiography?
I don't know if I did.
It's just a great, Ali, it's just a great story. You give 2 Miss Worlds a run in a Ford Fiesta. It doesn't
with the L plates on.
With the L plates on. It doesn't get any better than that, Ali, does it?
I'm not sure if I want to hear where it went.
No, exactly.
He was dropping them off.
He was just dropping them off, and then he put on his hush puppy eyes as if, Joe, is there any chance of a real late drink in true Ruffy fashion? Anyway, fantastic. Ford Fiesta and 2 Miss Worlds. It's a great story. You should put that in your after dinner stuff. Yeah, and try and freshen it up, will you? Anyway, we've got a competition. Here's your chance to win.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer for your chance to win this signed print of Arsenal and Scotland fullback Kieran Tierney by artist Gio Thompson. You have to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and put your answers in the comments section below to this simple question. What is Kieran Tierney's Arsenal squad number? So don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer and put your answers in the comments section below. Good luck.
Yeah, if you put GeoCart in any of your search engines on Google or indeed in Safari, you can go and see Gio Thompson's work. It's absolutely fabulous, and thanks to Gio for giving us some of these fabulous prints to give away, and it's signed by Kieran Tierney, and he could be a really good signing in the summer.
Yeah, I think on the evidence of Tuesday night, when you consider that he's not played a huge amount of football. I think he offers so much. I think the run that obviously led to McTominay's second goal, I think it's just a reminder of the qualities that he has. I think
you're talking about Tierney being an Arsenal captain at one point, now all of a sudden gone.
I know, it just shows you how fickle football can be, and I think he'll want to play. He wants to go somewhere, he wants to know that he's going to be playing, and I think Newcastle would tick a lot of boxes for him.
Yeah, and what a great buy it would be as well. Two great performances from the both left-sided defenders.
Yeah, I've never seen a back three, with it attacking down a flank. No, if you imagine somebody in a back three attacking down the flank the way he does for the goal, and any opportunity he gets, it's just incredible, the energy. I said that the other night there, I thought the energy the Scotland teams was phenomenal. John McGinn, Tierney, the energy levels, even McTominay, they were everywhere. They were just putting so much into it, it wasn't real.
Yeah, Hickey, even Patterson. I hope Patterson gets a run without injury as well now.
Yeah, I think something about full-backs that Scotland seems to rear in recent seasons, but Hickey, I think, can be very exciting too on the other side. I think he looks a real prospect. I thought he maybe there was a wee bit of nerves at the start of the Spain game almost. I think it took him just a wee bit to settle into it, but I thought they were all excellent. I think I don't think you would have given anyone in that team less than 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, thanks to so many of you for commenting on some of the things. Gary Connor says Roy Keane was on £15,000 a week at Celtic. I love it because people know it's a strange fixation we have by knowing. Well, Gary could be right. I genuinely don't know. I'll hold my hands up. I don't know what he was on. Hugh Scott says, Peter, it was Jim McLean who had the idea that it was a low wage but bigger win bonuses. The incentive was to win games. Now they get big money whether they win or not. I'll tell you, that's the great thing, and the amount of Dundee United players that I've spoken to, Ruffy, who actually mentioned the fact that it would continually
rolling bonus.
So if they got 4
wins,
4 or 5 wins, roll on, bigger bonus, 6, 7, 8. So Dundee United were like absolutely firing in the bonuses, and I think it was Maurice Malpass mentioned to me that by the time they got some of the bonuses, they were on just as much money as the Celtic and Rangers players.
Yeah, I think that's why many of them, I know we always talk about Jim McLean putting you on a 6-year deal and a 7-year deal. The reason that they were all signing them out was because the money side, the bonus side was something that they lived on, and more, so that's why a lot of them hung about for a long time.
Jack Rankin says, I remember Ruffy had a red BMW. Is that fair, Ruffy? Did you have a red BMW? Jack was just sitting outside your house watching through a telescope. Red BMW?
Not that kind of.
Did you maybe borrow one off one of my mates? No, because that's what you do, Ruffy. You steal all my pals.
I had a small BMW at Hibs, but I think it was red.
Okay, right, there you are. Jack, you'll need to confirm that, by the way. I don't know why you're laughing. He does. I had workmen in the house fixing something for me, and Bodjaws comes up and says to them, and give me your number, and can you make it that time? And I'm looking, I'm thinking, is there any chance? He steals all my pals, and then he gets them to do things for him, and then of course in the tennis, 2 pals that I played football with, he goes, and make sure I get this booking for the restaurant, will you? my mates, my 2 mates, I haven't even been to the restaurant myself. That's what he's like, Ali.
That joiner should be finished today.
Unbelievable. So anyway, what about the answer to the quiz? What a good one, Ali. Look at the graphic here, and it's Kloss was in goals. It was against Forfar. It was Alan McGregor's first game coming on as a substitute. Rickson right back, Amoruso, Newman left back. So Amoruso had a centre half partner, and then it was Kanchelskis, Ferguson, Hughes and McCann. Up front was Arveladze with, and it's a striker. Going to give me the striker's name.
Moles?
No. Scottish striker, Ruffy.
No Billy Dodds.
Yes. Billy Dodds.
Billy Dodds,
yes.
Right.
And the centre pairing, you want to go for the centre half, Ali?
I was between Bert Conterman or Craig Moore.
Well, it was an Aussie.
What was an Aussie? Because I was going to say Richard Gough. An Aussie?
Yeah.
No.
And it's not Craig Moore. Do you remember Tony Vidmar? Yeah.
Best game was a Palma game.
Yeah.
Best game for Rangers.
Well, there you are. that's what Ali thinks. Do you think that was his best game? Give us your thoughts on it. So there's your starting 11, and I have to say, congratulations. It's no mean feat, Ruffy, to get 500 appearances, and Alan deserves all the praise that's coming his way.
Yeah, it's fantastic, you know, I mean, we heard that, I'm not saying who they were, but we've had a few people on the show who have just said, I've had enough at 33. I've not got the hunger anymore, I'm just going to retire. But fair dues to Alan. I know he's a goalkeeper, I know he lasts a wee bit longer, but to play at the level that he's played at domestically and European football at that age, and we're led to believe he's quite happy to continue on for another year. No, well done to him.
Yeah,
Superb.
and I was lucky enough to witness his greatest ever save.
Oh, I know what that was.
It was against Werder Bremen. It was a guy called Boubacar Sanogo. It sticks with me. We were doing the commentary, and it was Gordon Banks-esque. Is that fair?
Skidded off the ground,
and he's flicked it up over the bar. I actually thought it was in, but somehow this guy hits this ball with pace. It's going in, Ali, and somehow he dives and flicks it up over the bar. It was just top drawer, wasn't it, Ruffy?
Yeah, it was super, and but that's the saves they used to make in European football. The Rangers supporters will remember, and I've said it all along. If you've got a goalkeeper who can make these one-off saves that win you games, and that's what Alan McGregor did.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gary says, what age did Ruffy retire at? Because
39.
you were hungry for it, Ruffy. At
39,
39, eh?
Yeah, I retired. I was going to retire at 38, and then I took over at Glenafton as a manager, and the goalkeeper got injured, and I played, I don't know, 20 games or something.
Yeah, we just out of curiosity, for the benefit of Ali and myself, we 13 stone 7 then as well.
Not 39, I wasn't. Maybe 13.9, something. I let myself go.
yeah, sure you did, Ruffy. Anyway, good luck with the competition. We'll announce the winner on Monday's show. We've got a belter of a giveaway coming up next week as well. We just keep on giving you the chance to win prizes. Hit the subscribe button, join the football family. It's absolutely free to watch. Thanks to Ali today for her chat, and Ruffy, and thank you to you for subscribing and of course for downloading the PLZ Soccer app. The figures have been absolutely superb. We're delighted that you're consuming all our content. If you do get a chance, have a look at David Martindale, My Story, a week with a Livingston boss, an insight into the difficulties that many have faced being a Premiership manager in Scotland. From here on PLZ Soccer's football show, thanks for watching.